After 2 very successful patrols, I sent the crew on a well-deserved leave. I recently found out that my U-boat was adopted by a small Bavarian village. The locals waited impatiently to host their heroes. For 2 weeks, the crew were able to rest, enjoy the luxuries and comforts, and of course the company of very appreciative people. Fresh from leave, U-96 received orders from BDU to go back out on patrol. We were to patrol sectors BD2 and BD5, as well as sink 4,000 tons of Allied shipping. Our departure from Port La Rochelle was delayed, however, due to some of our supplies having gone missing during our leave. 10 March 1941, 1100 hours. U-96 was finally able to get underway. March 1941, 1710 hours. During our hydrophone sweep on the way to our patrol, Herr Sitz picked up a contact. We plotted his course to intercept.
Sehr wohl, Herr Kaloy. 30.
The fog was heavy, so visibility was dangerously low and identification difficult. I began plotting a torpedo solution just in case. We are going 7 knots. Let's see, our angle on the bow is 48 degrees. Let's see, 7 knots. Course, 48 degrees. Really hard to right on top of her by the time I actually get a chance to shoot. Doing this the hard way. Goes 60 degrees. There's our course. 18. Kilometers away. I've got to fire this really close. I got to get in much closer. For all I know, she's Argentinian and is neutral, and I don't want to sink her. Time compression. Pull up alongside her. Oh, that's a bit close. She's right there. Not seeing a flag on her, though. Oh, here we go. Yeah, that's neutral. The ship is flying a flag of Portugal, but it's entirely possible that it's a false flag. After being certain that no warships are in the area, we risked surfacing and boarding to inspect the cargo. This freighter is unarmed and seems not to be escorted. While it sounds under a neutral flag, ideally we should investigate what it's carrying and its destination to ensure they're not smugglers headed to an enemy port. I took Herr Wolf and Herr Kempf and some men over. The captain of this freighter helps your crew get to the deck and greets each member of your delegation with a Willkommen. He then introduces himself as Hugh Thomas. He speaks Portuguese and knows only basics of German speech. Sadly, that turns out to be quite problematic, but nevertheless, both parties managed to make a somewhat basic conversation. I asked the captain for documents that state what the cargo is loaded on the ship and where they are headed. He was ready for that since these documents were already prepared and hands them right away to me. He's looking a bit nervous when I carefully analyze the document's contents. I can't decipher much from these documents, though, since they are written in Portuguese. I only managed to spot some references about Port of Lisbon, so it's probably where they are headed. If my interpretation is correct, the ship is not involved in a war effort, and sinking it could lead to a diplomatic incident of some degree. I asked to inspect the cargo, and the captain confirmed that I can have a look, if that's needed. He invited me down to follow him, and after a short walk, I was in the ship's cargo hold. My crew is searching the cargo for potential contraband. With no reason to detain the ship any longer, and no suspicion that it's a false flag, we released the captain and his ship. 14 March 1941, 21:51 hours. U-96 reached the patrol sector with no further contacts. We settled into our patrol routines and got to work. 16 March 1941, 14:35 hours. Our SITs picked up another contact on the hydrophone at a distance. We plotted course to intercept, hoping that this encounter will bear fruit. After closing the gap, we pinpointed them.
Auf Seerohrtiefe gehen!
Ei, Herr Kaloi. 20 Meter. Auf Seerohrtiefe.
That's an Empire Tower freighter. Go ahead and get a velocity here. Let me actually... I'll stop. Just gonna cross right over our bow here. Seven knots. Our course is looks like we are 12 degrees on angle on bow. Distance is a fair ways back. Yeah. I'm gonna wait till she gets closer before we do anything.
Auf Seerohrtiefe.
Seas are kind of rocky, so I'm going to have Mr. Straub get on the dive planes to help out with those. USS Nereus. Registration, she's flying British flags. Let's reconfirm our distance. target. 2.2 kilometers. Let's verify that. That seems much closer. 1,500 meters.
Rohr 1, bewässern!
Rohr 1 bewässert.
Los!
Los!
(15:01 hours). USS Nereus was reported sunk. March 1941, 08:07 hours. U-96 completed her patrol and, having sunk the USS Nereus, satisfied her secondary objective. While we would return to port for new orders, we will continue the hunt on the way.
Kind of music men hum or whistle when they feel on top of the world. And gentlemen, one of the many things that give you that liftoff feeling is the pleasure of being well dressed.